Hello, and welcome to the Nerdy Folks Podcast, a conversation about the nerdy things we love and the things that matter most. My name is Matthew Seipel-Anderson.
And I am Katie Seipel-Anderson.
We are the hosts of the Nerdy Folks Podcast. We love this community, and we're glad you're with us once again as we continue our series on Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, the book. So, of course, last week, we kicked off the series with Chapter 1, and we posted some questions on our Facebook group, and it was fun reading and responding to people's feedback to those questions.
We got some fun comments on, like, what characters people related to or who they thought was kind of like a character for a whole family responding. It was kind of fun, and I think in the future, we're just going to have to do an episode on that.
That'd be fun. So what character are you?
See, that's why I want to do it in a future episode, because I honestly don't know what character I would be. Who do you see me as?
Oh,
yes, you
Galadriel.
know?
Galadriel.
Nice answer.
Personally, maybe I start off as Samwise Gamgee, grow into Aragorn, and then into Gandalf as I get old.
I was going to say Gandalf, but I wasn't sure how you'd take that.
Oh, that'd be a compliment. He's my favorite character by far.
You're tall and willowy, and you're totally getting to the eyebrow part.
Oh, come on. I do.
You've got the wisdom of the ages. You're good to go. You can be Gandalf.
So, if you're not part of our Facebook group, go over, become a part. And we'll be posting some questions from this week's episode.
We'd love to hear from you. If Facebook is not your thing, social media is not your thing, feel free to shoot an email our way.
info@nerdyfolks.com.
We'd love to include your comments as well.
You can also connect with us by going to our website, nerdyfolks.com, and there's an email link there. So lots of ways to be in touch and be a part of the conversation. Maybe you're destined to join us.
Ooh. We've been talking about the second chapter that we've read together, and destiny is kind of a clear theme in it. Destiny and choice. I think my favorite quote of this chapter is when Gandalf is talking to Frodo about how he ended up with the ring, and Gandalf says, "Behind that, there was something else at work, beyond any design of the ringmaker. I can put it no plainer than by saying that Bilbo was meant to find the ring, and not by its maker, in which case you also were meant to have it, and that may be an encouraging thought," which is like this kind of fun, wise, like, hey, you're meant to do this. You got this, Frodo. And Frodo's like, it is not. That's not an encouraging thought. Though I'm not sure that I understand you. I actually laughed out loud when I read Frodo's response. Because in the movie, it's kind of this like, you were meant to find it. And, you know, in the book, it's funny because he's like, that's not encouraging. No.
Right, it's a moment where Gandalf's having this coaching moment, like trying to pump him up. And you think of other fairy tales that involve destiny, you know, it's like...
You got that guide that's like, oh, you got this, you can do this. And they're like, yes.
Yeah, you're destined, Harry Potter, to become a great wizard, or you're destined to fit the glass slipper and marry Prince Charming and all this stuff. And in this case, it's, you're destined to find the Ring of Doom.
And Frodo's like, that's not encouraging. I think the point Gandalf is trying to make, though, is that this greater force of good working saw something in Frodo that Frodo might not have even seen in himself. Well, obviously didn't see in himself, that said he could do this. There's a reason why Frodo was chosen to end up with that ring. And he had stuff in him that he didn't even realize was there. And I think that's true for us, too. You know, from the Christian perspective, we believe that God sees things in us and he has a purpose for us that is beyond what we realize. And sometimes we don't recognize strengths and things that we have within us that God placed in there and he's trying to draw out of us and draw us into.
Absolutely. Can I make a bold statement? I do believe that in some way, shape, or form, God is at work in everyone's life, whether they respond to it or not. is a different question.
Frodo kind of had to have this like journey though to accept things too. And I think God takes us on a more gentle journey, kind of like that, where Gandalf talked through things with Frodo, where he's like, whoa, no, thank you. What is this? Why did this come? Then he kind of goes through this period of like mourning, like, why? I'm scared. Why did this have to come to me? And he says something to the effect of, oh, it's a pity that Bilbo didn't just kill Gollum when he had the chance, because then I wouldn't be in this predicament right now.
So here's a quote that's also in the movie. It's a pity he didn't stab that vile creature. And then Gandalf responds, pity. It was pity that stayed Bilbo's hand. My heart tells me that he has some part to play yet for good or ill before the end. And when that comes, the pity of Bilbo may rule the fate of many, yours not least. It's such a relatable quote because when we're in the heat of a moment, when we're faced with a situation,
Especially when you're afraid.
Yeah. You just want an easy way out, and it can be frustrating. You can blame other people. Like in this moment, maybe he was blaming Bilbo a little bit. Like if Bilbo would have
done away with this,
we wouldn't be dealing with this, and Sauron wouldn't know where the ring is.
And Bilbo left this, and now it's up to me, and how could this have happened? Why did this happen to me? And I like how he says it may rule the fate of many, yours not least. And when you really think of, this is a spoiler alert if someone hasn't watched the movies or read the books yet, but at the end, Gollum does play a very crucial role in actually getting their ring destroyed.
Yeah.
It's not really how you expect it to go. It's not like he ends up this really great character who's like, hey, I'm going to destroy the ring for you. It doesn't quite go down like that, but Gollum plays a crucial role.
He's literally the one who brings the ring into the fire.
Quite literally.
Hand delivered.
And Frodo's fate was tied up in that too. So Frodo has this hard journey. There's big weight on his shoulders from it. But he's doing it not just for everyone else, but for himself as well. He has good to be obtained from it as well.
So chapter 2 is fascinating in light of some recent Lord of the Rings news. So it has been announced, and there's a story at Variety.com, that Warner Brothers is developing a new Lord of the Rings film called The Hunt for Gollum. And it's set to release in 2026, and it's set to involve the legendary Peter Jackson. I don't think he's actually directing, I think he's producing, but he will have a key role in the development of that film. And chapter 2 of this book, really, Gandalf tells the story of how he went and learned more about the ring to confirm whether this was the One Ring or not, and he had to go on this hunt for Gollum. And there are all kinds of little clues that involved a lot of adventure that he doesn't go into. And so it's kind of this big open canvas, this several-year time period in the storyline where who knows what Gandalf was up to, and Aragorn was part of that. So I'm kind of excited for this movie. It's going to be released at the same time as Amazon, of course, is right in the middle of their Rings of Power series, because that's set to be a 5-season long show. Some people are saying with new movies coming out, that's going to take a lot of attention and fanfare away from Rings of Power. But I don't know. I think it could have the effect of just making more people interested in the world of Middle-earth.
Yeah, especially as you start getting into a series, for a while you kind of just get into it in general. So I could see that. I could also see if it's not done appropriately or collaboratively, it could kind of wear down fans where they feel disjointed or like they're comparing them and pitting them against each other, which will not be very helpful, I don't think. Maybe it'll be helpful from I made money from this standpoint, but from a satisfaction of fans, that could be a little detrimental.
Yeah, and Amazon is kind of in a tough spot because what I read is while Rings of Power was really popular and a lot of people watched it, a very large number of people never finished it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's what the data shows, that people started it and gave up on it. So they're hoping that Rings of Power Season 2, which is going to premiere on August 29th on Amazon Prime, will win people over and get people back into the show.
I'm pretty excited about it. I actually did enjoy it.
I did too, especially the final couple episodes were so good. But I know a lot of people were grumpy that they changed things. People are resistant to change.
Change is tough.
Yeah.
Change is hard. Ask Frodo.
Ask Frodo. He was all cozy in the Shire. Boom.
Change.
Life adventure.
In other news, I talked to a friend of mine who told me that there is Lord of the Rings wallpaper.
And why don't we have it in our house?
I mean, our whole house could be Lord of the Rings wallpaper. It isn't over the top like you would expect. When she first told me about it, I'm like, really? You are seriously considering this? But when I actually saw it, I'm like, oh, that's really not bad. It kind of is stately a little bit. Like it has an old study kind of feel to it.
It's actually just the text of the entire book on a sticky roll that you just roll out on your wall.
No, but that would be interesting. No, there was some that was kind of the Tree of Life in like a light green color with a dark green background. And there's some other ones that had just a little taste of Lord of the Rings, but could also just be a design too.
There were a couple artists, I believe one of them's name is Alan Lee, who did a lot of illustrations for some of the Lord of the Ring books and the Hobbit book. In fact, the version I have in the basement of the Hobbit that's got all those illustrations, they're all Alan Lee illustrations. And he was a big part of the movies. He was on set doing sketches, and they used his vibe as sort of the like the lookbook for what they were going to make everything look like. He set that tone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so when I looked at that pattern you showed me, I connected with it, and I thought, yeah, that's the vibe. That's the thing. And maybe that's why people are not as into, or maybe it's one reason people are not as into the Amazon Lord of the Rings is because they've changed the look just a little bit, and it doesn't
have that same vibe, that same look. That could be. The question will be, will the movie that they're creating have that same look?
I would be shocked if it didn't.
Interesting. Those are like those subtle undertones that you don't quite realize. So then I had to actually do a search on Amazon to see what they had for Lord of the Rings decor, and there's quite a bit.
Really?
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of quotes, plaques with quotes from Gandalf were probably the top ones that I saw. But art, and I mean, there's a lot of different stuff for just decor, Lord of the Rings decor.
I'm imagining a doorbell that's like, da-na-na-na-na-na.
Oh, that would be funny. I didn't see that, but, ideas.
Or dun-na-na, dun-dun-dun. That would be cool. Well, make sure you like and subscribe to the show. Thanks so much for listening. We're excited to keep reading Lord of the Rings, and we're excited to be interacting with you through our Facebook and website. We are planning to do a series on Star Wars The Acolyte, which premieres on June 4th, but then we'll be right back into Lord of the Rings after that. So stay tuned, lots of fun stuff. Make sure you like, subscribe, like I said already once or twice, and share the show with a friend. Until next time, love you, God bless, take care, bye-bye.